Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We're back in the library today. Oh, I'm Megan, by the way. I literally always forget to say that. But today I thought we would do hot takes. So I will preface this by saying that I am a high school librarian, so your experience at an elementary or middle school may be very different, so this may not apply to you, and I'm just doing these to be kind of funny, although some of them are serious as well. And hey, they could even be tips, like for first-year librarians, so everybody's been asking me for those, so maybe take from this what you can. Okay, my first hot take is students can catalog and process books, and even cover them, like with the laminate stuff. I know a lot of librarians don't let students do this, and I didn't at first until I literally had no time. And I had students who could do it, so then like, why not? Kind of a little bit more backstory. I actually taught, until this year, I've always taught a class, whether it was yearbook, dual credit, or dual credit English 101, 102, or both at one point. And so last year, in fact, I was really only a half-day librarian because I taught classes and had a planning period for the other half of the day. So with a school of 1,200 students and, you know, getting new books in all the time and things, with only being a half-day librarian, cataloging and processing books was kind of like lower on my list of things that had to, like priority-wise, that had to get done. Discovered that some students were really good at cataloging books in the system. I would just literally write out a set of directions and they could follow it like step by step. I showed them how to do it. I really only let the really trustworthy students do it, and they did a great job with it. And I have some students that are very meticulous and very careful with the laminate, like they love making it perfect, and they do a better job than I do. When they cover paperbacks, they have fewer bubbles in it than I have. So I just find the right student, and yeah, it's perfect to have students do it, and it saves so much time. Next is you don't have to charge fines for overdue library books. Like I did this my first year, and I realized very quickly that I could not track people down for 10 cents, that it really didn't matter. All I needed to do was have students pay for the book if they had lost it. But if it was just a late fee, I don't care. Like I don't care about late fees. If, you know, 5-10 cents a day, whatever it was set for, like I did away with all that. And I think most public libraries have too, because it just encourages people to like not check out books as much. Okay, at my school, students can have 3 books at a time because they're at the high school level. So my next hot take is that some students can have more than 3 books at a time. Like some students are very, very trustworthy and they love to read and they read books really quickly, and maybe there's gonna be a break coming up like spring break or Christmas break or whatever, and they need another book, especially if the books they have checked out right now are short. Maybe they're graphic novels and they can read them in a day. And I'm like, you know what? I can trust you because I know from experience you have brought them back in the past. Like I wouldn't do it if I don't know the person at all, obviously, but if I know them and I know they will bring their books back, then sure, they can have 4 or 5, like whatever. Especially when the pandemic hit, I let a lot of people have more books. I was like, you know what? We might be out of school for 2 weeks. I thought we were only gonna be out of school for 2 weeks. We were out of school for like the rest of the school year and then part of the next year. So yeah, trying to get all those back was, well, you know, I did get most of them back, honestly, but I did let students have more books in that case as well. Okay, another hot take. High schools should do book fairs. It's been amazing. I'll have a video link down below about my experience with a high school book fair, but it's amazing because students, if you have teachers' aides, if you have aides who can help you, like TAs, you know, student aides, whatever, who can help you set up the book fair and like take it down, that's the hardest part. Like besides some paperwork and figuring out the planning and stuff the first year, once you get that down to a science, it's so easy. And you can make a couple $1,000s, you know, if you're a school approximately my size, 1,200, I make a couple $1,000s a year. That's how much I clear. We sell about $4,000 worth of stuff. And then I get to keep half of it in Scholastic dollars that I can use to buy like furniture or big items with. And I've just been banking, saving up my money at Scholastic, and I'm gonna buy big stuff with it for the new library. My next hot take. Now, don't come at me because I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this one. Don't let students come to the library during lunch. And I know some libraries, they have a big group of students that come to the library during lunch, but let me explain. My case is very specific, and that's because we have a class that meets in here at lunchtime, the yearbook class, because they use our library computers, because that's where the Adobe software is installed. Also, I not usually, but half the days of the month, have an English class coming for their library visit who sits on the other side of the library. So between those 2 classes, we have a lot of people in here already, and with both me and the library aide that works in here as well, with us both being busy with those classes, we can't monitor everybody coming and going to make sure that they're not skipping class, because that's what a lot of students do. They'll say, yeah, I'm at lunch, but really they're skipping their class. But like, unless we literally go and look up their schedule, you know, or their teacher contacts us or something, then we wouldn't know that. And my very first year here, we did let students come to the library during lunch. And if we let one person come, then obviously we'd have to let a whole bunch of people come because we couldn't just say yes to some people. So by the time, I think it was 4th lunch, our last lunch of the day, we'd have, you know, 30 or more students in the back, hanging out in the corner, leaving their trash, not picking up after themselves. And they kind of ruined it for everybody. But we can't accommodate that many people because of those other classes that meet in here. It would be very disruptive to have people talking while those classes are going on. So that's why we don't do the lunch in the library. And if I let one person do it and I'm like, well, yeah, you can come in, well, then that's not fair. We'd have to let everybody come in. So we just tell everybody, sorry, like we understand the cafeteria is noisy. We know you don't want to be in there, but like we can't have everybody eating in the library. Okay, my next hot take is be super accommodating to your teachers because they have a lot on their plate. They have a lot of stuff they have to do. So anything you can do to make their lives easier, even if it cramps your style, you should do it. If a teacher asks you on the spur of the moment, hey, can I actually come for a library visit tomorrow? And by the way, can we do this certain lesson to go with it? You know what? If at all possible, do it. I know in the back of your mind, you might be like, I can't believe you waited till the last minute. Yeah, I have had teachers do this that ask to come on the spur of the moment, and I accommodate them. If they're like, you know what, I need to just bring my class in, not even to, have you do a lesson. I just need to use the library. Then yeah, I mean, sure, obviously if there's nothing else going on, come on in. But even if you want me to do a lesson, I can put it together really quickly, especially if it's something I've already got kind of on hand. I can be like, yeah, you know what, I can do that literally tomorrow because I've got all the stuff for it. So let me get it set up real quick and I'll do it. Obviously that kind of works if you're more on a flexible schedule and you have time to get stuff prepared. Once again, take all these tips with a grain of salt. But I feel the more accommodating I am to the teachers, of course, also the better relationship I'm building with them too. They can trust me. They feel like they can come here kind of whenever they need to, obviously, but they really, I mean, it just gives them help. They do so much. Teaching is even different than when I was a teacher, and I feel bad for the teachers. Okay, my next hot take. Displays are not that important. I mean, they are important. I think displays, I saw a quote one time from a Demco magazine that said, turn heads, then pages. Because you got to catch their attention before they want to check out the book, right? So yes, displays are important, but TAs, student aides, can make them. I pretty much solely have my student aides make displays. I don't really do them ever, maybe occasionally. But the old librarian that worked here before had made a lot of stuff, so we use a lot of the stuff that she had. And then the new stuff we make, we use Canva, we use the Cricut every now and then to cut out letters, and I have a student who is a pro at the Cricut, so I save that job for him, and he's my Cricut person and cuts out all the letters. I don't have to do any of that. The only thing I do is I find the idea. I usually look on Pinterest, or I've seen it on a Librarian Facebook group. I take that idea, I show it to the TAs, and I tell them to run with it. I tell them I don't really care what it looks like as long as it looks good and it's eye-catching, and honestly they're way more creative than I am. So this year I have one period where I have two TAs who are very, very creative, and I let them pretty much do all the displays. Okay, the next hot take is only if you have time, obviously, but if possible, I think that all librarians should try to look through all of their shelves once a week. I have all my TAs do this. My TAs organize the shelves once a week to make sure that books are in the right genre and that they're in alphabetical order. But there's so many things that only I can do, or that only I pay attention to, or something. Like if I see books in a series, and we label our books in a series with a little number at the top of each one, with a little sticker. And if I see that one's not labeled, maybe it got returned right when we were doing that labeling process, and so it's not labeled, I can go around and do that. And the TAs just don't do that, and they also don't know, they might not know that that's a book in a series. Or if I see more than 2 copies of a book out on the shelf at a time, I'll grab the extras beyond those 2, and I'll take them to the back storage room so the shelves aren't as cluttered, because that's kind of our policy, only 2 copies of each book on the shelf, everything else goes in the back storage room. If it's a book we have 10 copies of, we don't need them all out on the shelf taking up space. It's just little stuff like that. Books that are falling down, I tell TAs to obviously stand those up too, but somehow it's the TAs do a good job, but they're just not quite as thorough as I would be, and I catch so many little things that I'm like, oh my gosh, I see book 1 and 3 of this series, where's book 2? And I haven't seen it in a long time. So then I go and look it up and realize it's lost, and that I need to order another copy of book 2, because no wonder nobody's reading the series, because we don't have the second book in the series, and it's a trilogy. So it just lets me kind of know things that need to be done. And honestly, I am not as great about doing this every week, but I need to be. At the new library, I want to do it, especially because I'm using more dynamic shelving, which is going to take a lot more, work on my end and the TA's end to keep it all dynamic. Finally, my last hot take is don't do work at home. You're a librarian now. You've moved on from the teaching phase, right? You don't have papers to grade. If you have extended days, use those, but you don't have to. Don't work that hard. And so, obviously do during the school day when you're being paid for it, but enjoy your family, enjoy your free time. And I have learned that now, and it's amazing. There's stuff that I could do at home, but I'm I don't need to. It'll be okay if it doesn't get done. The only thing I've done at home is anything for those classes I used to teach. I used to do a lot of yearbook stuff at home, and I did a lot of grading of English papers hours and making lesson plans and stuff at home because I had to. There just wasn't enough time in the school day to do that and my library stuff. But now that for the first year ever that I'm just a librarian and I don't have those other classes, I'm not doing that stuff outside of school. And if I need to stay for any reason, if people are like, oh yeah, you know, if we did a certain club, we could do it like after school. I'm like, nope, can't do after school things. I have a 3-year-old, like I have a husband who coaches esports at his school and is busy with esports 2 nights a week. So I'm on baby duty those 2 nights. So the other 3 nights are kind of the only normal nights. And we're gone to Ashland all the time to go visit our grandparents. And we're just really, really busy. We're like on the road all the time, I feel like, and traveling. So, you know, I'm going to enjoy all that time and not worry so much about doing school stuff. Not at school. There you go. Hopefully this was kind of fun to see some of my hot takes. I just know that these are things that people would say like, oh, I think the opposite. So if you think the opposite, that is totally fine. It's just stuff that I learned as being a librarian. In fact, other people have told me the opposite of these things. Like, you should let students have lunch in your library, or like never let students catalog books in the system and don't let them put the covering on them. You know, people have literally told me the opposite of these things. And it's just stuff in my personal experience that I've discovered works for me. So obviously take all of it with a grain of salt, but hopefully you can apply some tips to your own library. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you want me to do another video like this in the future, and I will see you again soon. Bye.